Welcome to our EDST2000 Assessment Task 2. Our project is based on an English task, and these are four students are all English teachers. This presentation will introduce a possible future literacy activity to teach a Year 9 class. The following slides will further seek to critically discuss the activity by unpacking its strengths and limitations in respect to our assigned readings.
The lesson objective will be to be able to analyze scenes from rabbit-proof fence successfully by unpacking the film techniques used and the impact the techniques have on the audience. Similarly, the literacy criteria for this activity will involve the class being able to comprehend what and why film techniques are used and its significance in creating thematic impact. To give this lesson some context, it will be set following the previous lesson, where the class has already completed watching Rabbit-Proof Fence. We chose this film specifically as it will also delve deeply into Australia's history and its significant impact on the Aboriginal community. It will aim to promote an equitable series of lessons by Aboriginal voice and inclusivity, as well as teaching history through a visual narrative, as demonstrated by Scowley Crone, Barron's Canoe, Kane, and Zenkov 2018. The lesson will start off by the teacher verbally recapping what rabbit-proof fence is, about to stimulate the students' prior knowledge from the previous lesson, and in an attempt to captivate the students' attention. After this, the educator will ask the class what film techniques they remember from the previous lesson and years, ask for the definitions, correct any misunderstandings, and write this as a mind map on the board for everyone to see to reintroduce English-specific literacy terminology as supported by Gibbons 2009. This will be a great visual aid to refer back to, which will be more useful towards the end of the lesson. Then the teacher will use pre-formulating, reconceptualizing, and open-ended questions to not only guide the students' thoughts, but to also prepare the students on how they should engage with the film, as mentioned by Mitchell and Sharp 2005. Following this, the educator will then explain to the kids the importance of rewatching movie scenes when analyzing a movie to set the tone and importance of the lesson. This will be completed prior to putting up the first clip that will be analyzed and will be a part of the scaffolding process where the teacher will provide visual aid, guide the practice of the lesson, and model what students should be doing explicitly as encouraged by Gibbons 2009.
The first clip shown will be the opening scene of the film. While the same place, the teacher will model how to analyze it by singing aloud, commenting on the shot composition, the use of sound, and how these elements influence the viewer's understanding of the scene. After the modeling, the teacher will ask the class a few clarification questions. This provides an opportunity to address any misunderstanding before moving forward. Then the class will move on to the second short clip. This time, rather than modeling alone, the teacher will guide students through the analyze step by step. Together, they will break down the scene and identify techniques as a group. Once the joint construction is complete, students will given a third scene to analyze, but this time in small groups. They will watch the clip again as a class, likely twice to ensure everyone has time to process what they're seeing. After group shared their finding, the teacher will collect and record students' idea at the front of the room, perhaps as a second mind map or brainstorm. Finally, the lesson transition into independent work. Students will receive their worksheet and choose or be assigned a short scene to analyze on their own. This phase allows them to apply what they've learned with guidance, but also take ownership of their thinking. To support this literacy activity, we've designed three original worksheets. The first worksheet introduces key film techniques. Students are asked to define each term and find an example from rabbit-proof fence that illustrate it. This task is simple on the surface, but it's important because it's built meta language. As Gibbon 2009 reminds us, academic success in English depends on students having the word to describe what they notice. For EALD students in particular, being given vocabulary and being asked to use it in meaningful contexts makes the literacy task more accessible. The second worksheet focuses on the context and theme of the film. It provides a short background of the stolen generation and highlight the key theme of the story. What's different about worksheet is the students are asked to respond it personally. They write about the film made them feel, what they learn about Australia history, and why the director might have chosen to tell this story. These kind of questions matter. They turn the literacy activity into something more than just identify film techniques. They give students space to reflect, to emphasize, and to build connection between the visual language and the historical message. Finally, the third worksheet presents students with still image from the scene in the film. For each one, they're asked to identify the camera angle, describe the mood it creates and explain why the director may have chosen to frame the shot in that way. The final stage moves students into higher order thinking. Instead of just naming a technique, they are analyzing how it functions and why it matters. The structure is intentionally repetitive to support EALD students, but the questions still challenge all students to interpret and justify their thinking.
The activity we designed uses the method of scaffolding. Scaffolding was first come up by Vosky. He outlined the notion of zone of proximal development for describing the difference between what a child can achieve or learn independently and learn with the guidance of teachers. Scaffolding can make the analysis of film techniques easier for students to understand through breaking down the complex tasks into smaller steps. The teacher first models how to analyze a scene, then guides students to do the analysis through group work, and finally asks them to try it independently. This means scaffolding can make the task achievable for all students, and the gradual release of responsibility aligns with Gibbon's 2009 challenging Zoom ideas. The high expectations are supported by strong scaffolding. Also, by watching film clips and discussing what information they catch in those clips can help students enhance their literacy abilities through visual and multimodal support, especially helpful to those ELD students. After watching the film clips, they can connect abstract ideas like simulation or framing with concrete examples. Gibbons 2009 and Michel and Sharp 2005 both address the importance of using visuals and real text to build academic literacy. As I have mentioned before, students have to discuss with their classmates in order to analyze the film clips. Peer collaboration can support language and thinking. Before students write something, group work let them talk through their ideas first. This gives them the chance to rehearse language, ask questions, and learn from each other. Group work is especially significant for students who may not feel confident to speak in front of the whole class. Michel and Sharp describe this as collective scaffolding, where learning happens through social interaction.
Now, before we ask students to engage with the film as a rubber-proof fence, it's crucial that we acknowledge the kind of backgrounds and the diversity that students may come from. While some students in the class may already have a pre-existing understanding of Australian history, particularly to the stolen generation, others who may have backgrounds such as an EALD background may not have the preliminary understanding needed to contextualize this film. Without this kind of foundational knowledge, students might find it hard to grasp the emotional depth or the historical significance of the story, which may essentially limit their ability to meaningfully engage with any of the key themes and film techniques. As mentioned by Kajwa and Howard in 2021, background knowledge plays a vital role in helping students make connections and interpret complex texts. In order to make sure that everyone has the same level of equity within the classroom, we need to actively work towards bridging those gaps and making sure students all have the same understanding. Additionally, we also need to consider students' personalities when working in collaborative activities. Not all students are super comfortable with talking in group discussions. Some may be more naturally introverted, and this can particularly affect their level of participation and confidence within the classroom, especially when it comes to delivering any information. According to Medali and Usinger in 2020, personality traits like introversion can play a significant role in students' engagement, especially in collaborative tasks. To create an inclusive environment, we should offer alternate ways for students to be able to proceed and explore their ideas, such as using reflective journaling or anonymous tools such as Padlets to help them formulate their ideas and be able to present them to a wider audience. Additionally, in regards to students' understanding, for future directions, we can look towards looking at students' progress in other subjects. For example, an English teacher may be able to look at whether a student has covered this particular film or any context around the stolen generation in a subject such as history. Additionally, for those students who may not be able to deliver their ideas to a wider audience as well, making sure that we are able to create roles in which they can feel included in group activities is essential to their participation. Roles such as scribes, speakers, note takers will provide every single student with an independent role which will encourage them to participate in any given group activity. Thank you for listening to our presentation.